Hey everyone, Teo here. Today I want to talk a bit more about the drawing experience you can expect from the Onyx Boox Note Air 4C. First of all, disclaimer, this is a review unit provided by the company, and I have already reviewed this color e-ink tablet in great detail a few days ago, but I didn't talk much about the drawing experience. So today I want to talk more about the drawing experience. In my full review, I mentioned the pen was not included with the purchase, but that is the wrong information. The pen is actually included with the purchase of the tablet, which is priced at US $499. So this is from shop.boox.com and it listed the pen as included with the purchase, but when I looked at another website that provided me with the wrong info, onyxbooks.com, no pen was listed. So this is the included pen, the Boox Pen Plus. This pen uses Wacom EMR technology, so this pen is not powered by battery and no Bluetooth pairing is required. As long as the pen is near the tablet, the pen will be detected. This pen is made with plastic and the build quality is quite solid. The fluted design provides a really good grip. Now there is no side button. This pen supports tilt sensitivity and 4000 over levels of pressure sensitivity, and you also get palm rejection. This pen tip has no movement when in contact with the writing or drawing surface, and this is a textured pen tip, so when writing or drawing on this matte textured surface, there is this really nice tactile experience. I would say the sound is quite similar to using a fine point or ultra point Sharpie marker on paper. If you do not like this sound, then you will have to buy another pen that supports Wacom EMR because the replacement tips sold by the company are also the textured tips. This is the Samsung S Pen Pro. And this pen is not as noisy because it has a plastic tip. So you can use any pen with Wacom EMR. And this pen also supports tilt. So this is pressure and this is tilt. Just make sure you buy more replacement pen tips because I have a feeling this matte textured surface is going to wear down the plastic tips or even the textured tips quite quickly. I'm using the tablet in portrait orientation right now, and I have disabled auto rotation because the auto rotation is too sensitive, which is to say that if you're holding the tablet like this and you're drawing and you move it around, there is a very good chance that the orientation will rotate, which is extremely irritating when you don't want it to rotate. So that's why I've disabled auto rotation. Now there are many drawing apps available from the Google Play Store, and this is Concepts, one of my favorite sketching apps on an Android tablet and also on the iPad and Windows tablet. Now if you use third-party apps, there will be latency, as you can see. So as I try to draw this line, see how the line is trying to catch up with the pen tip. This is not due to the pen, by the way. Let me switch to the original pen. So you can see the latency here as well, and it's very noticeable latency. And this app is Sketchbook. This is the limitation of color e-ink right now. There is a limit to the number of colors it can show and also how much contrast you can get. Let's choose a red color, and I'm not going to draw something very detailed. Just a letter A, and you can see the latency as well. Because of the color and contrast limitations, some of the toolbars, the icons, the menus, and sometimes the text cannot be seen easily or clearly. So let me increase the brush size here. Let's draw a thicker line. If I press down, I can get a thicker line, yes. If I tilt the pen, I can get the broad strokes. Now, whether you can customize the pressure curve really comes down to which app you are using. So this app definitely has very noticeable latency as well. So if you really want to draw on this tablet, you have to go with the default note-taking app. Let's create a new file. Let's take a look at some of the tools you can get with this note-taking app. And I will not go through everything because there are quite a number of things to go through. So we'll just go through the most basic tools that we usually use. So this is the pen. This is brush pen, ballpoint pen, pencil, and marker. Let's go with the pen, no, brush pen. The colors here are quite clear because this app has been designed to show you colors that will work well on this e-ink tablet. And this is the slider where you can increase or decrease the line width. Let's check out the brush pen first. Okay, the line is quite thick. Yeah, I'm drawing with minimal pressure and the line is quite thick. So if I press down hard, the line will be even thicker. I feel like I cannot get even thinner lines. So let me just switch over to using the fountain pen or the pen. Okay, now you can see this line is really thin. And if I press down, I can get the thicker line. So I can actually get more line variation here. Pinch to zoom was disabled by default, so I wasn't able to zoom with my fingers earlier. So let's enable this. And these are the other gestures that you can enable or disable. All right, now this works fine. And as I zoom, notice there is this navigation box here to show you which part of the canvas you are at. Okay, let me just zoom in a bit closer. I can sense and also see the latency when zooming, and notice also the display will flicker as the zoom settles down. Okay, so let me try and draw a thin and thick line. Let's have more hair here. Let's maybe erase this part here. The flickering is kind of distracting. I'm going to change the refresh mode from HD to fast to see if there is any difference. Okay, as I pan the canvas, I notice the response is faster. And as I zoom in and out, the response is also smoother. And notice there is no more flickering, but I do notice more ghosting. So notice the line art here. As I move, you can still see the line art, but it will disappear after a few seconds. But the moment you move, you will definitely see ghosting and image retention. But at least this is, in my opinion, less distracting compared to the flickering. Let's check the colors. The colors still look alright, so the refresh mode did not affect the colors too much. Okay, so now I want to erase this part. Now this note-taking app is actually a vector app. So when you erase the lines, you are actually erasing the stroke. So if the line is very long, like this line is kind of long, you are actually erasing the whole stroke when you erase the small part of that line. If you want to erase just a small segment of the line, you can do so. Just change from stroke eraser to mobile eraser, and these are the other eraser options that are available. So you can erase the current layer, or you can erase across all the layers. So let me just switch over to mobile eraser and maybe erase this here. Yeah, so now it just erases this small segment instead of the whole line. And now I want to switch back to stroke eraser to erase this, and yeah, it erases the whole stroke. So let's switch back to the pen and draw this. So notice as I press down, I can actually get the thicker lines. And if I try to taper the line, I would say the taper is not that smooth. It's a bit abrupt, but at least you can still see the taper, so it's not too bad. Okay, this looks fine. Yeah. So if you draw with a light touch, you can actually get better tapered strokes. Okay, let's create some cross-hatching. So as I zoom in, notice the image retention and ghosting. And also notice as I zoom in really close, there is no pixelation at all because this is actually a vector line. So let's just create some cross-hatching marks here. This or hatching marks here. Oops, why is this not moving? Yeah, so even with a thick brush selected, I can get thin lines like this if I draw with minimal pressure, and I can press down hard to get the thick lines if I want to. From what I can see, this app does not have the ability to customize the pressure curve, which is not surprising. Okay, I tried to undo with this shortcut, but it doesn't support the double finger undo. So to undo, I have to use the shortcut button. Let's test for diagonal line wobble. And this is very straight. This is very straight. So there is no diagonal line wobble or line jitter issue. And the initial activation force is really low. So this allows me to draw thin lines very easily. And this is how thick the line really is. Because you cannot control the pressure curve, it may be tricky when it comes to drawing certain thin or thicker lines. But after a while, I guess you will get used to it. Another issue with not having the pressure curve adjustment is if you find that you press down hard to draw lines, you may have to go into the settings here to adjust the line width so that you don't have to press down that hard to draw certain lines, so that the pen tip won't wear out that fast. Because if you are always pressing down really hard, I have a feeling the pen tip is going to wear down like pretty quickly. Because this is a note-taking app, there aren't many drawing features or drawing tools. For example, if I want to erase the line here behind the hair with Concepts or some other app, it may be possible for you to select the lines in front, lock it, so that when you erase the line behind, the lines in front are not affected. But I don't see the lock feature here. So if I have to erase the lines behind, I have to switch over to using the mobile eraser and erase like this. Oops. And notice as I erase like that, sometimes it may erase the lines that I still want. So that can be an issue. Yep, this is certainly an issue. It's going to be quite tricky to erase tiny areas. So let me just maybe reduce the eraser and erase as close to, oops, yeah, this is not easy. Let me try and erase as close as possible to the hair there, but I cannot do that. It's very, very tricky. So the other option is to maybe draw the hair on a different layer. Let's take a look at the layer options. So this is quite simple. Let me just add a new layer. You have to use the arrow keys to push the layers around. So let me push this down so that I can add some colors beneath the line art. I just realized one thing. Since I've deleted the small segment over there, now I can actually use the stroke eraser to delete this line. Okay, this doesn't work because I need to select the layer first and delete. Yep, it works. So let me switch over to mobile eraser and maybe delete this part here. Oops. Let me just undo again. You can see how difficult it is to erase some things. Okay, and then delete this. And then redraw this line again. The cursor accuracy is fantastic. What I mean by that is you can actually join this line very smoothly as if it's a single line. Let me show you more examples of cursor accuracy. Okay, let me just zoom down, pan over. You can see the latency when moving around. Now, if you are going to draw something really detailed, there is going to be more latency. Okay, now I'm going to draw separate lines. So now I have two separate lines and I want to join the lines together. So now I have three separate lines. So let me just join the lines together, and I can draw separate lines and join the lines together without the lines overshooting and also without creating gaps. So cursor accuracy is good. And from what I can see, even if you hold the pen vertically or at a very low angle, the line is always directly beneath the pen tip. So there is no cursor misalignment. This display looks laminated enough, so the gap between the display and the drawing surface is actually very small. So when you're writing and drawing, it will look like the line is coming out from directly beneath the pen tip. But here you can see a tiny gap because of my camera angle. So let's go back to the bottom layer to add some colors. No, let me go back to the top layer first. I want to close up all the open areas. So I want to join this line here. Oops, I'm still using the eraser. Let me undo that. So let me just join the lines like this to make sure there are no open gaps. Let's select the fill bucket and a color to fill the hair. So earlier when I tapped in the area, it actually told me that there is no enclosed shape. So I actually have to select the layer with the line art and then tap here, and this will work. If you have some basic knowledge of digital art, you will know that having colors and line art together in the same layer is going to be problematic, because if I want to change the color of the hair, wow, how do I even select the hair to change its color now? Let's use the lasso tool, the smart lasso, and see if I can select the hair. Oh, I can actually select the hair. So let me just move this down and notice how the fill bucket fills the, I just tap away, yeah. Notice how the fill bucket actually fills the hair. Okay, I'm starting to see the latency. It actually fills outside of the line art. So you can see this blank area here. Yeah, all these are taken up by the line art. So this color will just fill outside of the line. Because this app is using vector for the line art and the colors, so this shape is actually an object. So I can actually just select this shape and just delete it. Yeah. But I will also have to go and select all the hair color here and delete it. Delete the shapes one by one. If they are on a separate layer, it would be easier to select the hair color. But now that the hair color and the line art are on the same layer, it's difficult for me to select the color without selecting the line art. Let's say I want to color the face right now. I don't want to use the fill tool because this is going to color the whole face. I just want to color the shadow side of the face. And it seems like I will have to use the marker brush. Okay, so this is the marker. So let me just color this side. There is no fill shape tool where I can draw a shape and have the colors filled inside the shape. So in this case, I actually have to use the marker, which actually, as you can see, works okay. Not too bad. Okay, notice the loading bar. Yeah, notice the loading bar, which can be quite irritating. So the thing with this marker is when you overlay the marker several times, you can see the gradient will start to build up. And this is a round marker. This is not a chisel marker. So if you color like this and later you realize that, maybe I want to delete some stuff, then you will run into the same problem with the stroke versus the segment eraser. Okay, so as there is now more information on the artwork, as I scroll, each time I scroll actually, the screen will load. So you can see the drawing experience is going to be affected, obviously. Yeah, so I guess this is how I would color this. Can you see all the messy areas here at the bottom? Yeah, that's due to me overlaying too many times. I would prefer to use a shape tool that I can just draw the shape and have it fill with a solid flat color rather than, like this. This is really messy. And when you click to look at the marker options, there is no like 100 opacity. So it's always like less than 100% opacity, which is what's creating all this patchy look. All this weird stuff that you see is image retention, and I just realized that the fill bucket tool did not actually fill up to the edge of the line, so there is this white gap in between the black line and the color. So the fill bucket is not perfect. And this is actually a very simple line art with two colors. And now when I move the scene, you can see the loading screen quite often. Yeah. Wow, it's loading like 2 times more. Oops, loading again. So user experience for drawing, at least with the coloring, is not going to be ideal. If you're just using line art for drawing, then it should be fine. So now I'm going to go to, I'm going to save this page and create a new file, because a notebook can have multiple pages. So if you create like many artworks on many pages in one single notebook, that file is going to get quite messy, even though vector is not going to take up much storage space. So the next brush I want to show you is actually the pencil. I want to show you how the pencil works. So this is pencil. It supports tilt and pressure, and this looks really good. This is with minimal pressure, with heavy pressure, and this is tilt. So it seems like pressure and tilt can work together, but they do not work together. Because if I tilt the pen to shade with minimal pressure, you can see how dark this is. If I shade with heavy pressure, it looks the same. So when I shade with minimal pressure, it should be light gray. So this tells me pressure is not working together with tilt. But when you're creating the line art, you can actually have thin, thicker, and broad. And now let me switch over to using the Samsung S Pen Pro for drawing. So this pen is definitely less noisy compared to this pen with the textured tip. And it seems like this textured tip is worn out slightly already, but it's not too bad. Okay, so let's continue drawing. This pen feels really smooth on the surface, and the drawing experience is actually pretty good. Thanks to the responsiveness of the line. So let me just zoom in closer. Yeah, this the drawing experience really is pretty good. I mean, when I draw the line almost comes out instantly. So the responsiveness is pretty good. And also with the pencil, because there is tilt, you can just use it to, shade things or color or fill in shapes really quickly. So I'm still trying to get used to using one finger to move the canvas versus two fingers. Yeah, most Android tablets will use two fingers. Yeah, so with the broad lines, with tilt sensitivity, you can use this to fill in the shape quite easily. So when drawing with this note-taking app, try to think of yourself as drawing with actual pencil and paper. So when you put down a line like this, try not to erase it. Just draw as if you do not have the eraser, because to erase something like this with an actual eraser, if you're drawing with an actual pencil, is going to be very difficult. Yeah, so when you are drawing or when you're sketching, just try to draw in such a way that you don't have to erase. Yeah, then that would be great. And it's actually, I would say, benefit you if you draw in such a way that you don't have to erase, because it's going to force you to be more careful when you are drawing. Oh, let me just, let me just color this here. Okay. Not having the pressure work when you're shading can be how should I say, inconvenient, because I actually wanted to shade this lighter because this side is lit by light, and I wanted to shade this part darker, but I cannot use pressure to do that. So the alternative is to use small hatching lines to create the shadows. I can use this to create contour lines as well. Sorry, my contour drawing is not very good. Let's have some shading for the lips. Okay, I want to see what happens if I actually shade here. It looks weird. So let me just undo. Yeah, so you have to find a style of drawing that works for you. Here I'm trying to mix shading with line art, and I don't quite get how these two styles will combine to make it look good. So now I'm going to color the clothes, and I have already created a layer beneath the pencil line. So let me just shade. So notice as I shade, the red is on top of the line art. Let me just move this. Yeah. So the actual color will only update after a while, and notice the loading screen again. So it seems like each time I move, the loading screen will appear. So as I draw, as I color, notice there is no loading screen, and the responsiveness is pretty good. But as I move, okay, so this is taking some time to load without the loading screen. Did it just freeze? Yeah, okay, the loading screen is now on. Yeah, so this is gonna be, oops, still loading. This obviously is gonna be quite annoying. So if you want to draw on this tablet, it's best to really treat it like a very simple tablet. Yeah, so as I'm testing all these tools, I am just trying to work with the limitations. Okay, this looks good. There is a lot of ghosting, so let me just zoom down. Is that? Okay, now it's freezed. Yeah, this is not a very, I'll say, complicated drawing. This is just line art with some coloring. And even so, you can see this is taking a long time to load. Oops, what is happening right now? Let me maybe close the, oops, undo. Is it going to undo that stroke? No. Let me just close this and open it. Wow, this is loading really slowly. So I just closed the app and reopened it, and as I zoom in and out, notice there will always be the loading screen. So this is really annoying, which is to say that if you really want to draw on this tablet, I would highly recommend you just create line art. Maybe don't even use colors. Or if you want to use colors, maybe don't create a very complicated drawing, because it seems like even creating a simple line art like this is quite taxing on the processor for some reason. All right, to conclude, I would say my overall experience with drawing on this tablet is positive, as long as I do not create really detailed sketches. So if I make very simple sketches, then it's fine. But once you start to add like a lot of colors, use multiple layers, add more details, then you will start to see more and more latency. The pen experience, the pen tip experience on the matte surface to me is really good. It is very satisfying to write and draw on this matte textured surface. And now I'm trying to avoid touching the display because I know this is going to happen. Yeah, the pen tip feels great on the display. So that really elevates the user experience to the next level. So when drawing, just try not to, draw complicated things. And this is how the exported artworks will look on a computer screen. So this was saved as a PNG file, and let's zoom in all the way. The lines are actually kind of sharp. Yeah, the lines are actually pretty sharp, and there is some aliasing or anti-aliasing thing going on, but if you zoom out like this, it looks pretty good. And also the white gap between the black line and the colors, they are gone. So maybe it's just a visual effect issue with the tablet. So this is fountain pen line with solid fill colors. Let's take a look at the pencil drawing. Oops. Okay, let me just use my finger to zoom. Yeah. So this, the pencil texture, in my opinion, looks pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I can see some texture here as well. This looks pretty nice to me. The pencil drawing just looks nicer compared to the line art and flat colors. Mostly because there are textures that make this drawing look more interesting.